Hi again, everybody. I hope you're doing well and enjoying your semester so far. Welcome to this tutorial video. I will be covering text styles, and I will be covering the basics on text styles, not annotative text, okay? Annotative text will come in another video. This one is just going to cover text styles and the basics of those, so all the fundamental stuff on text styles. All right, so I do not have a text style created. I just have my layer created. So first thing to do is to switch onto your text layer. So I'm going to click in my layer drop-down bar and switch onto my text layer. All right, and you'll see this floor plan. It might be a little bit familiar to you from my other previous tutorial videos. I've erased all of the text that was there before because I'm going to recreate all of the needed text for this video, not all of it, but just some of it as needed, and then you would complete your drawing using the same skills that you would see in this video. So again, I know your drawing is completely different than mine. You're just going to use the same exact skills that you see in this video and apply them to your drawing. Or if you're using a different scale than what I'm using, anytime I use my scale, you just input the scale that you are using, okay? All right, so you can see I don't have any text boxes, I don't have any room names or anything, so I'm going to start applying my room names. So I'm going to open up my text style. ST enter, that's my text style editing, and you're going to get your, a text editing dialog box. All right, we want to open up and we want to create a whole brand new layer. So I'm going to click on new, and I like to label what my text is. So my very first thing I'm going to create, we'll just create the first text style here, and then I'll show you what layouts I've got created, and I'll do that afterwards, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and create my text style, and my text style here is going to be for my room names, and my room names is I want my whole floor plan. So room names, and that's my whole floor plan is at 3/16. So my room names are all going to fit at 3/16 of a scale. So this is my room names at 3/16 of a scale. Now, AutoCAD does not let you use all the fancy symbols, unfortunately. So when I need a slash, I will use a dash in AutoCAD. So 3/16, that's how I use it, or how I put it for 3/16. And I'll press OK. All right, so I make sure it's selected here on the left, and I'm going to choose a font. I like to use Bookman Old Style. I also like City Blueprint as well, and Stylus BT. All right, so again, we're not using annotative text. Annotative will come later in another video, but now we're going to get into the height. And you're going to go, I don't even know what to do here. This is where you're going to get stuck. Well, I want you to look onto our support course under AutoCAD, and I've added a chart under that folder. So I'm going to now show you that. I'm going to go under here. This is our support course on Blackboard. I'm going to go under the tab of AutoCAD here under tutorials. And I've reorganized all of the videos into these lovely rainbow colored folders. And I've labeled them all under their challenging levels of skills of what in AutoCAD they cover. So they're ordered in terms of challenging as well. So like all of the basic stuff is up here and the more challenging stuff is down here. And please read the rainbow titles and also the gray blurbs to know what folder you're looking for and what command or skill you're looking for. So again, we're in text right now. So I'm going to go in text and dimension. I'm kind of just making videos as needed for the support course. The very first thing you'll see is this chart, and this chart was from Omar. And Omar and Tomek, the AutoCAD instructors and studio instructors, they use this chart for the interior decorating department, and I wanted to make sure that I was using the same chart as well. So I've got it right from Omar that this is the chart that they are using, and this is how we're going to use our sizes. This is how we figure out those sizes, okay? So I've got this exact same chart already uploaded here into the session. So I'm just going to put this into the recording right now. And we're going to figure out what height now to put into that box. So in AutoCAD, we were at height. So if I now draw rectangles and we narrow down our 3/16 of an inch scale here, I'm now going to do the same at the top. Text height, 3/16 of an inch. And we'll see together that they create 12 inches. 12 inches, right? So that's going to be our magical number right now. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen again. And I am going to input 12 inches into this box. Now you'll notice as soon as I go into another box, it's going to edit and go 1 foot. And that's because there is 12 inches in 1 foot. 12 inches equals 1 foot. And AutoCAD is always going to convert to the largest unit. Okay, so just keep that in mind. 12 inches equals 1 foot. then that's all that I want to do. So I'm going to click apply, but I want to make sure that it also says that my current text style is that text style. So I always like to click on it and click set current to make sure that it is in fact my current text style, and I click close. All right. Now, before I go applying my text boxes, I want you to make sure two things. One, that this down here is set up one-to-one. This is going to come later when we do a annotative text video, but right now I want you to make sure that this is set up one-to-one. Okay, this is only for annotative text. That is it. That is all that this is for. This is only for annotative text. This is not paper scale. It's not your drawing scale. Nope. This is just annotative text. So we're going to get to that later in a different video. So please make sure this is one-to-one. Okay. Next, I want you to have your paper set up. Okay. It doesn't have to be ready to print. Okay. Because you may be learning still the skills on how to set up papers and pages and printing. And I understand that. There's also another video on Blackboard about that in case you need help there. Okay. Or assistance in that skill. Okay, so I have got 3 papers set up here, and I'm going to make 3 different text styles here in this video. We've got 3/16 of an inch scale, and I can fit my entire, on 11 by 17 paper, I can fit my entire floor plan with a title block, okay? And I'll show you that this is at 3/16 of an inch scale. I've selected my viewport, and you can see here that I've set it up at 3/16 of an inch scale, okay? I've also labeled it and all that stuff, fun stuff. My next one is at 1/4 inch. Again, 11 by 17 paper. You can see that in my layout. This is just like a partial plan. Okay. And again, I'll highlight it so you can see that it's at 1/4 inch. Okay. Next, I have a zoom in detail of the kitchen, just the kitchen. Same 11 by 17 paper. And if I select my viewport, you can see it's at 1/2 inch. Okay, so I have 3 different viewports. So I'm going to make 3 different text styles based on these paper scales. Okay, so again, I have 3 different papers at 3 different scales. So therefore, I'm going to make 3 different text boxes. 3 different text styles, sorry. Okay. All right, back to model space. Let's make our first one. So we've already made our first one, sorry. Let's apply our room names. So I'm going to go ahead and up with the ribbon here in text. I'm going to click on that drop down bar, and you're going to see multi-line and single line. Multi-line and single line, well, yes, there is the difference of their strict name. So multi-line means if you are going to enter to the next line and you want it to be all attached into the same text box, then you want to use multi-line text. If you just want to type on one single line for days, and yes, you can enter to a new line, but it's going to be detached. It's going to be a separate line, then sure, use single line. Okay, they are very different, and there are pros and cons to both, and when to use and when not to use both. Okay, I am going to use both to show you the differences of them here, but I highly suggest multi-line over single line myself. Okay, multi-line, here we go. So I'm going to do multi-line here. It is a text box like any other basic program, Word, not really Word because you're typing on paper, but basic programs, you usually have to draw a text box to apply your text first to tell the program where you want your text to go. So that's exactly what we want you to do is click top left corner, bottom, and you are creating a text box. And you'll see a little ABC at your crosshair, and that is your computer previewing your text style. All right, so this is my dining room. So I'm going to go dining, enter room, because I want it on 2 different lines. And once you are done typing, you can either click off the screen or you can use the check mark at the top. But I want you to take a look at the ribbon, though, before we do that. When you use multi-line text, you get all the editing functions. You get underlining, italicizing, strike through, justification, symbols, even spell check, like everything. Okay. Now I'm going to use single line. Use single line here. And my command line tells me specify start point of text. Okay, because I don't see anything. I'll specify, okay, my text starts here. And I don't get anything started. I get a weird line. Well, I read my command line once again, and it says specify rotation angle. And you're going to be like, well, 0, duh. I mean, this is if you wanted to rotate your text right away, but I would do that after myself. But anyway, 0, enter. And now it lets me apply my text. Okay, so now I'm going to go living. And I, yes, can go enter room. I don't have to type on one line. I can enter it. But watch this. Again, I'm going to click off the screen to finish. And it just does it. It keeps on going. That's kind of cool. I like that part about single line. So now I could go, okay, this is my entry. Click, this is my kitchen. Click, this is my office. Click, right? You get it? That part of single line I like. So how do we stop the command? Well, we press escape. Okay, that is how you stop single line text. Okay, so I'm going to show you the difference now more so of what single line versus multi-line is. When I select them, you'll notice dining room is all in one text box. It's all attached. When I select single living room as a single line text, they are detached. They are separate objects. That's one main difference. The other main difference is when I want to edit them. If I want to edit dining room, let's say I want to underline it, I'm going to double click on it to edit it. My ribbon changes back, which is lovely, and I'm editing. So I can Control A to select all, and I can choose to underline my text. Beauty. Click off the screen because I'm all done that. All right, now I want to do the same to living room. Double click to edit, okay? But that's it. You get to just double click and edit. So I get to make a change here, and let's say I want living room now on one line. But that's it. That's all you get. You can't underline, you can't edit it, like that's it. You can only edit what it says. There's no other editing features, okay? So that is one of the biggest downfalls of single line, okay? So again, things to think about. All right. So I like the text, but it's a little big. You know, when I go to my, let's look at it on paper, right? That's a little large, in my opinion. You know, if I were to add ensuite here, primary bedroom here, screen and porch, deck and porch here, you know, it would be a lot, right? It's a bit large. Let's edit our text. So back to model space and back into our text style editing. So ST enter for style. Okay, now we're going to go back to that chart. And we knew if we use 3/16 of an inch here to here, we got to 12. Well, we now know 12 is a little large. So we just go next size down. That's it. That's all. That's all there is to it. So I now edit my text to 8. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen again. And I'm going to edit my height here to 8. Okay, apply, close. And nothing happens. This is the biggest downfall to text styles in AutoCAD. When you make a change to your text style and you go back to your space, you do not see the change. This is, again, the biggest downfall of AutoCAD, text style specifically. Okay, the quickest way that I can suggest for everybody to see that change, no, you do not have to erase and do again. No, 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 no. Okay, we are going to quick select all of our text. Okay. So I'm going to zoom out just momentarily so that way my drawing can be over here off to the side. And we're going to right click. Right click off your drawing on your model space and use quick select. This goes for Mac and PC. Right click, quick select. And you get a quick select dialog box. Okay, first things first, apply to, you're going to use this select icon. Okay. And that select icon is going to give you a selection box, and I want you to use a selection box. Don't hold down like I just did right there. You're going to click once up at the top left corner of your drawing, use a blue box to go around your entire drawing, and click on the bottom right. Okay? Once you have your entire drawing selected, I want you to then press enter. Just what you're working on. That's why I'm using this feature here, because you may have all sorts of stuff in your drawing right now, and I don't want you to change all the text in your drawing. I just want you to change what we're working on here, okay? Whatever drawing it is that you're working on, all right? Because I know you don't have this floor plan in front of you. All right, so when you have selected what you are working on, press enter. If you've made a mistake in that selection, no problem. You're going to then just make the new selection. Just click that icon again, and make your new selection and click enter, okay? All right, next, object type. Here, you can choose, we can do this in one of two ways. You can choose your text based on layer, or you can choose all your text based on it being text, okay? So that's what I'm gonna do, object type. I'm gonna choose that drop down bar, and you'll see I have two different things. I have text and mtext. If you only have one of these things, I want you to choose that. Okay, I have two different things, so Nope, that's not going to work for me. I need to choose multiple objects. So for me, I'm going to choose layer. And then under the value, those are all your layers. You're going to choose your text layer. If you only had one of these up here, then you're good. You can just choose one of those and you're good to proceed to my next step, which is now. Okay. If you had both of those things in that list, then you're going to choose multiple, choose layer here, and choose your text layer. Okay. Now we all click OK. No matter what you did in that step, we all click OK and should hopefully just have your text selected. All right. So just by doing that now, just my text is selected. Yes, I could have sat there and selected them all manually. If you want to do that, you can do that. But once you get used to quick select, that is actually quicker, especially if you had like a 4,000 square foot floor plan and you had 14 different text boxes. I'm not going to sit there and click 14 times, right? I'm going to use quick select. So again, when and when not to use it, right? So now that I have all of my text selected, I'm going to use the annotation drop-down bar to help me out here. In our annotation drop-down bar, it shows you and tells you what your current text style is, and that right now is our 3/16 of an inch. Well, I'm going to just momentarily put this on something else that's totally wrong. And I want you to do the same. Then you're going to click in that drop-down bar again, and you're going to put it back on the text style you want it to be on. So room names 3/16 of an inch that it was on before. Yep. And now you will see your text height change. I know that seems crazy, but that is the best way to refresh AutoCAD. I meant to show you if we pressed refresh, it actually wouldn't have refreshed and worked. I meant to show you. I apologize that I missed that step. We'll do it again, and you'll see that regen just does not work. Regen is refresh. You'll see that it just doesn't work, but I'll show you in a minute. Anyway, so this is the quickest way that I can find out of my research to quickly see your changes in your text styles. Do not remove them all and do not re-add them all. You do not have to do that. You can use quick select and make that change. Okay. So I'm now going to deselect all my text by pressing escape. And I like this a lot better. You know, if I go back to my page now, 11 by 17 at 3/16 of an inch, that is way more proportionate for my floor plan. But take a look at dining room versus living room. This is another pro and con versus single line and multi-line text. When I changed the text size, it did not maintain the proper spacing with my text with single line text. It just left a big gap in between the text because the text height got smaller. With multi-line, it maintained it because it's attached. Again, these are two separate objects, so it could not maintain it. So again, something to think about with single line text, okay? All right. So I now have to sit here and I have to move my text down, make sure I'm going straight. You know, you have to make more edits, and we don't have time for that, right? We want efficiency. So I would have rather used multi-line here. For these, it was fine because there's only one word, right? So it all depends, right? Okay. Next, that's all great and dandy for our 3/16 of an inch, right? So here that now that I'm happy, I could put the rest of the text in. So I could go multi-line for here because I'm going to put this as my primary bedroom. So I'm going to want that as my multi-line text. So this would be primary bedroom. Let's see, let's spell that right. There we go. I don't want this to be underlined because let's keep that all the same. All right. And then I want to use an argument to say the benefit of a single line, and I don't want my rotation here. Press enter for your 0 rotation. And here now I have my ensuite, and I can click here. I have my walk-in closet. I've got my deck here, the deck back here, mudroom, porch. This is covered porch actually, so we're going to want to use multi-line text for that. So then my other argument to do is copy. You can copy your existing room names and you can apply them here and here, and then you have to be sure you go back and edit them. Yes, that leaves room for error, so keep that in mind as well. So again, pros and cons to all sorts of different things. I want to show you all sorts of ways, and that way you guys can all choose what way you like to do AutoCAD, because realistically, that's how you're going to get efficient at it. Okay, there we go. So now I've got the rest of my room names in terms of my entire floor plan, and I wanted to do that quickly just to show you as an argument's sake when I go to my full floor plan on paper with a title block. You can see that proportion, right? We needed to go down that one size for a proportion of my floor plan. Now, this may not have been the case for you. Again, you're not using this floor plan. This is all based on relativity as well. So again, I'm on 11 by 17 piece of paper at 3/16 of an inch, and we've made a 3/16 of an inch text style, okay? But your floor plan could have been 4,000 square feet. This is about 2,000 square feet. And you may have still wanted to print it at 3/16 of an inch scale. You probably would have wanted to keep that text height that height. Because it's a much larger floor plan, you may want that text height to be that small or somewhere in between, not 8. That was too big. That's 4 inches of a difference, right? We went from 12 to 8. Maybe you want it to be at 10. You don't have to use exactly that number in that chart unless it's for an assignment or something like that and your teacher tells you otherwise. But if it's for your own drawings, this chart is just a guideline of where to start. Then you can go and edit what you'd like. And again, every file might be a little bit different, but at least you have a text style to start, right? Because I can now copy this text style into another file, and boom, I've got a 3/16 inch text style like that I can use for all 3/16 inch paper scales. But I might have to just edit a little bit, and it'll edit all of them all like that. If I use quick select, and I can click, select them all and change their text style back onto the right text style, right? Like that step we did. So it's definitely a nice way of making a text style once and using it for all other projects after here. Okay, and that's exactly what I've done in my own work. So we're going to repeat this step quickly, and we're going to create 2 more text styles quickly, and you're going to see how efficient this is. So next is a 1/4 of an inch, and in my 1/4 of an inch, again, I have like a partial plan. Okay, just like a partial plan here, and I'm going to leave my 3/16 of an inch text here. We're going to make now a 1/4 of an inch. We're going to leave our room names, okay? This is a partial plan. We're noting something else. Let's say here now I'm noting, I want to keep my room names where they are, but I'm noting material for my trades, flooring for my trades, okay? So I go back to here, keep on my text layers. Sometimes I now make separate layers so I can freeze them. So let's say, for instance, now I'm going to go into my layer properties for a second, and I'm just going to rename my text layer because I'm going to make an argument out of this. Like, explain this better, I guess, is my not an argument, like just help explain this better. This is going to be 3/16 of a text, and I like to make separate layers. Then I'm going to create with this as my current layer. I'm going to make a new layer, and it takes the exact same properties. And I'm going to make text, and this is going to be my 1/4. Okay, so I can freeze them if I want, and that way I don't have to have them all on the same viewports if I don't want them to. So I'm going to make one more text, and my last one's at half an inch. Okay, I've got 3/16, 1/4, and half. Okay, so I'm now going to double click on this and make my 1/4 of an inch my current layer. That's also another way you can change your current layer. Close this layer box, and now I confirm up at the top that I sure in fact have 1/4 of an inch my text layer selected. Okay. Now ST, now we create our text styles for this. All right, keep this as your current text style because again, once you create a new one, it creates it off those settings, and I want the font to stay the same. So I'm going to just click on new. All right, now I'm going to call this finishes. So let's say, for example, in my file here, my finishes are at a 1/4 inch scale. Again, this might be totally different for you. You name it based on your file and your scale. So I'm using a 1/4 of an inch next. So finishes 1/4 of an inch. Okay, let's go back to that chart. So 1/4 of an inch here, 1/4 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch here. And you'll notice 12, 12, 12, 12. It's a magic number if you go on an angle. 12, 12, 12, 12 on an angle. 1/4 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch, 12. So let's start there. Let's see where it goes. Okay, let's see what we like. And you're like, well, the settings are going to be different. Yeah, I know. But when we go to our scale, I know I'm being dramatic. When we go to our scale on paper, you'll see the difference between the two texts. Okay, and I'm doing this on purpose so you can see the difference and you can choose what you would want to use for your drawing. Okay. So again, we're here at finishes, 1/4 of an inch. I keep my font the same, right? All we're going to change is this back up to 12. Again, 12 inches equals 1 foot. Apply. We make sure it's our current text style, and close. All right. So I'm going to do my finishes, and again, my partial plan is over here. So I'm just going to add my finishes to the part, and I'm going to use single line text. So let's say for my office. Again, set your rotation to 0. My office here is hardwood. Okay, hardwood. My screen porch is cork. And my dining room and hallway here are hardwood as well, okay? But I'm gonna put a floor rug in my office. So I also wanna put floor rug here, okay? And that's, oh, my mudroom. You can just see my mudroom. We're gonna do tile in the mudroom. There we go, okay? Okay. So again, with single line, we press escape to stop. So now this kind of looks messy and you're kind of like, whoa, what did you just do here, Jamie? This kind of looks messy, or AKA Robin. Okay, so I'm gonna move my floor finishes to look proper with my room names here. I'm just moving them around using the move command. Okay, there we go. And you'll see like, oh, those are super large. I know I'm making an argument here. Let's go to our floor plan. Okay, so now we see that in a partial plan here, you can see the big grand differences between our 3/16 of an inch text and our 1/4 of an inch text. And you may say to me, well, this looks too large. Or I want it to be the opposite. I want my floor finishing to be smaller than my room name text, right? That's an argument too. Well, then I would go back to my 3/16 of an inch text. I would make that a little bit larger, and I would make this 1/4 of an inch text a little bit smaller, okay? And that's what I would do if you want that to be the case. I'm going to do the opposite, because what I'm going to do here is I'm going to freeze. So I'm going to select my viewport. I am going to actually go into my layers here, and I'm going to freeze my 3/16 of an inch scale. Hey, why are they disappearing? There they go. Sorry, I'm using I'm going to use my freeze and thaws and all viewports there instead. So now I've frozen that there, okay? And hopefully this worked for me. Freezing and thawing doesn't work for me sometimes. Yeah, it did not. Okay, so this is only supposed to be in this viewport. Hold on. In current viewport, yeah. That's what I want you to do. Why did you not select that? Oh, I think we have to be double clicked inside. That's why. Aha. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen and everybody. I don't use freeze and thaw very often, so every time I get to it, I get a little bit stuck every time. I'm only human as well. So you need to double click inside your viewport to freeze and thaw, and I'm going to double click outside. Yes, and then that did not freeze here. So, beauty. So on my 3/16 of an inch paper, I can see all of my text, right? You can see my floor finishes and my room names. If I go into my 1/4 of an inch, I have frozen my room names, so you just see my finishes. Okay. And again, this all depends on what your drawing is. And again, you may want the opposite. You may want your room names to be a little bit larger and your finishes to be a little bit smaller. You choose what you would like to use, but I'm based on this scale that I'm showing you, okay? So now for my partial here, or sorry, my zoomed in. I've got my zoomed in plan here. We're going to do two different things. I'm going to keep my room names. I want my room names. I don't want my hardwood finishes. Actually, I do. So let's go back here to model. We want to stay under 1/4 of an inch, and I'm going to keep single line text and finishes at 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to actually just add a finish to my kitchen. Oh, I just can copy. Kitchen is also tile. I'm just going to put this here. Okay. So now for our 1/2 inch scale, I've got a zoomed in detail plan of my kitchen, okay? I want to add little notes to my detail here. I want to add little notes and say sink, stove, fridge, and I want them to be smaller than these ones, okay? So back into our textile. Okay, and I'm now going to create my 1/2 inch text style. So I'm going to click new, and I'm going to call these labels. 1/2 inch, okay. And keep the same font. Now let's go into our height. Let's open up that chart. All right, let's go 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch. Whoopsie. Oh, I hate when that happens. Give me a second. Let me stop sharing. Reshare. So sorry. Okay, 1/2 inch. Okay, and you're gonna be like, I don't have a 1/2 inch up here. No, you don't. And that's fine. You start with 6. Okay, so let's start with the 6 at the 1/2 inch mark. You know, so the larger the scales, the sizes get a little bit smaller because we don't want our text to be absolutely ginormous like it's happening with the 1/4 inch. 1/4 inch is a little bit tricky. It all depends on the size of your drawing. Okay, so we're going to start at 6. I'm going to reshare my screen now. Okay, wonderful. I'm going to change my height here to 6. Okay, so there we go. Apply, make sure it's our current, and close. All right, I'm going to zoom into my kitchen, and I'm going to add my little labels, but I'm going to change my current text, my layer first, because we've split it up into a layer so we could freeze things. So we didn't have everything show up on once if we didn't want it to. And I'm now going to use single line again. Actually, no, I want these to be underlined to make a point. So if you want something to be underlined, you have to use multi-line text. All right, let's add our little labels. So I'm just going to add the little label here. You see my text box. This is my fridge. And I want to, not underline, let's say idolize. There we go. Close. Now with multi-line text, I tend to copy and edit because it's quicker. I find it quicker than having to do the textiles. Sorry, not textiles, the text boxes. I will copy, double click, and edit. Okay, and I now have my labels. Okay, so if I zoom out now and I go to my paper, if I go to 3/16 of an inch, you will notice just like that, that all three texts are actually readable. You'll see that they match. My room name text almost is this body text height here, almost. It's pretty close. My flooring text is pretty close to this title text height and this height here. And my note text is very, very close to this text height here. So you'll notice that it is it's a standardized heights. 3/16, 1/4, 1/2, right? And then if I look at my entire floor plan, I can still, in fact, read my little notes. And we can see the variation between these. And again, I know you may want your room names to be larger than your finishes. It's up to you and dependent on where you're trying to put the focus on. This would be if I'm giving this to my flooring supplier. I would not want my room names to be larger. I would want my floor finishes to be larger. Okay, so it all depends. But now if I go into my 1/4 inch partial plan, right? We see these lovely floor finishes, and then I've just got my labels here. Let's say I don't want my labels to be shown. We double click inside our viewport. I go into my layers and I freeze that layer. Okay, that's my 1/2 inch layer. I freeze them, they've disappeared. I now double click outside. They're still on this one, still there. They're just frozen in this viewport. Okay, so that way it's just my flooring, let's say. I'm setting this to my flooring people, both of them. Okay, and then I go into my detail plan here for my client, let's say, or for my other countertop supplier, and I've now got little labels, and you can see those nice and clearly, and all my text heights are very readable for a detail plan. Everything's gonna be much larger on a detail plan. It's a detail plan, right? Okay, but you can see at 1/4 inch how proportionate this size is at a 1/4 inch scale. If I had an entire floor plan at a 1/4 inch scale, I'd want to use this text height, right? It's all relative to each other. Okay, so that sums up my quick little, I tried to make it as quick as I could. It's a lot, I know. Text style video, again, this is the basics on text style, on single line versus multi-line, and using it based on 3 basic paper text height. So this is like literally my scale, right? So if I printed these pages out on actual 11x17 pieces of paper, and I used our scale rulers, I would be able to actually measure this out to this scale. If I measure this text height, okay, we made room names at 8 inches. This would measure to 8 inches to the dot at 3/16 of an inch scale. If I went here and printed this out on 11x17 piece of paper, we made this 12 inches. This would measure to 12 inches at a 1/4 inch scale to a dot. And again, on this one, for our detail plan, we made these labels 6 inches in height, and at printed at 11 by 17 piece of paper at a 1/2 inch scale, those text boxes would measure to 6 inches. Just like this would measure to 8 inches at a 1/2 inch scale, and this would measure to, what do we do, 12 inches at a 1/4 inch scale. Okay, so this helps you where to start with your text heights based on your paper scale, your printing scale. Okay, awesome. Hope you enjoyed, hope it helps, and hope you learned something in amongst this video. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you all take care. Ciao.